Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. Welcome back to the show, Mark.
Glad to be here, Jim. Thank you.
Mark, do we have a special offer for our listeners?
We do at VRTrader.com. You go to any of our newsletter selections, and when you get to the order page, there's a little section for a promo code, and if you enter 2021 half off, 2021 HALFOFF, just as it sounds, you get 50% off on any subscription for the time period that you sign up for. So that's at VRTrader.com, which is a shortcut to the Leibovit VR newsletters website.
The stock market's totally unpredictable now. After it seemed like months there'd be a new record high every day. Now, not so much. What's the story there?
Oh, I don't know. The market is always unpredictable. You could have said this for the last 40 years, and the bottom line is it always goes up. So you have your shakeouts and they scare people and it goes up again. We'll see if 2022 is any different. It's much ado about nothing with regard to the interest rates. I mean, you're talking, 0.09 or some crazy number in a year. I think he said he was going to have rates up until 2023, so they're going to have some tapering starting before that point. So it was really, their statement was really more dovish than needed. They really did not make mention of future rate hikes. They reflected in their projections, which really don't show up in the official statement that was made. A little confusing there. But we know the Fed is behind the curve, letting inflation run. But on the other hand, I don't have much regard for the Fed anyway, because that great book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, that was written not too many years ago, pretty much discounts the credibility of the institution, which, is involved in all kinds of, I would say, questionable activities, including buying stocks in individual companies and manipulating the stock market. And the U.S. dollar has lost something like 95% of its value since the Federal Reserve was created. And then we talk about interest rates. What's the big deal? I mean, look at the rates we had back in 1979, 1980. I mean, we're so far away from that. Business is good. Of course, we've got this mass psychosis out there with the COVID and so forth, which is a whole other discussion. We could spend an hour just on that one. The world has just about gone crazy. Though there was a story that just came out that basically said that Japan was going to allow people to make their own decisions with regard to vaccinations. In other words, no vaccine will be provided without consent. So maybe Japan's got their head screwed on correctly compared to the rest of the world, but that's a whole other discussion. But there's a lot of mass psychosis, and people are nervous out there for all kinds of crazy reasons. But getting back to the Fed, generally, this time of year, the Santa Claus rally doesn't happen every year. I don't think the Fed did anything so dramatic. So unless there's something else coming, another outlier event, there's something we don't know about. 10 more COVIDs are coming. Some other war is going to show up. There's some geocosmic event that we can also talk about a couple of those things in a minute. Really, what's the reason for the stock market to really go down? And if it goes down, isn't the Fed and the plunge protection team that Ronald Reagan signed into law back in 1988, isn't that going to come in and support the market? They certainly did last March, April in 2020. So, it's like anything else. You got to trade them, and if we're going to go into a correction, then fine. If you look at the charts, there's every reason for a correction. there's that expression about reverting back to the mean, and which is, either the 50-day or 200-day moving averages, and we're so far above, these averages that are just a normal big shakeout. Sure, the market could drop 10, 15% in a fast or 20% in a fast washout on some story. But, by the same token, it's going to come back. It depends what your time frame is. Are you an investor? Are you long term? And if you've been just, quote unquote dumb money and done nothing for the last couple, 3 years, you've seen a lot of volatility, but net you made a lot of money by doing nothing. You just turn off the damn television set and you don't read the financial papers because they engineer the market higher, and that's that expression we had used before on the show, financial engineering, where companies come in and buy their own stock, to reduce the float, to drive prices higher. So there's a lot of that quote unquote manipulation going on out there. So the bottom line is the Fed maintained the Fed funds rate where it was, 0.00 to 0.25, and they're going to increase increase the monthly tapering, from 15 to 30 billion. And, that's really about it on the Fed side. But meanwhile, on a technical point of view, just watching the market this time of year, the S&P has advanced 74% of the time from mid-December, December 15th to January 6th during the past 31 years. Oh, we're going to break that pattern this time. I guess that's the old Santa Claus rally. The average gain was just under 2%. TSX, by the way, advanced 87% of the time between December 15th to January 6th in the past 31 years. So my gut feeling is, I'm not a rampant bull, because I know there's risk in the market, but, cycles and stuff sort of indicate that they're going to try to hold the market up here. And, we had a big reversal to the upside on Tuesday and on Wednesday and Thursday. Today we got a little bit of a shakeout, and then stocks tried to come back. Gold started to uptick a little bit as the U.S. dollar started to come down because gold's way oversold anyway. It's due for some type of bounce. And we also have the full moon out there, on the 18th, and sometimes you get market change of direction points around the lunar cycles. So that's over the weekend, but there's a fudge factor there of a couple of days, so we're getting some volatility here around the full moon. The new moon, by the way, is up on January 2nd, so we'll have to wait and watch there. And of course, speaking of January, we got that old January effect that Yale Hirsch from the Stock Traders Almanac brought to our attention back in the 1970s, where we looked at the first 5 days of the year as a leading indicator for the entire year, and the month of January also as a confirming or diverging indicator for the entire year if the S&P is up at the end of January. So we got some interesting things to track there to see if it's the leading indicator of the January barometer, starts working again. For you short-term traders out there, there's some multiple large sunspots that are growing near the sun's southeastern limb, they call it. And the expression they use is the phalanx of dark cores is turning toward the Earth, which is boosting the chances for a geo-effective eruption in the days ahead. So NOAA forecasters estimate a 25% chance of an M-class solar flare, almost at any time. So we'll see if that unfolds. We've had a lot of false warnings about this, but all we need, Jim, is one bad one. And, the Earth's fried and, our electronics are down. So it's always good to keep track of what's going up on the sun. I know everybody watches, television and financial commentators and think, the whole universe is we're impervious to the universe and what's going on beyond our atmosphere, but that's not really the case. And, on top of that, very few people are tracking it, but I don't know if you read, but, the number of active volcanoes, we have touched about this, is right now spewing particles of matter into the upper atmosphere, and it's really extraordinary. The La Palma volcano has been so large that the size of the island on which it sits has expanded 43 hectare-acres, and the more ash plumes take place, the more sunlight gets blocked. So there's a lot of volcanic activity out there going on, and we can't discount that because that could, block the sun, increase shortages of crops, and of course then talk about supply delivery issues. You could have people not getting fed. So that's something that's going on a planetary basis. And I know a lot of people, including myself, we joke about the asteroids, and that's a very big risk, as it always is. Even though Elon Musk and SpaceX set up that probe a couple weeks ago and trying to do a test to see if they can divert, asteroids in the future. But the bigger risk is really, it's sort of funny because I track the earthquakes too, which are a risk for all of us at any time, and there's been some increased activity. But, the super volcanoes like the one at Yellowstone and stuff, and I've written this up in the letter, one of those blow, that's really it. That's almost like an asteroid hitting the Earth. So you got to monitor this stuff. You can't sit here worrying about it, but you got to be aware that there are other things going on out there besides, the movement of interest rates or what some politician says about the economy. And then, of course, you've got the Ukrainian situation cooking. You've got Taiwan situation, cooking. You've got the Iran-Israel situation cooking out there. I personally think these are all a lot of distractions. And I get into a whole other theory about, these stories that come out to divert our attention from other more important situations. But that sort of borders on conspiracy theory. So I don't want to go too far into depth into that. But those are theoretical risks out there that would affect the markets if something really unfolded. So a lot of interesting stuff here. I guess bottom line, I'm going to try to stay a little optimistic here into the new year because of seasonal tendencies, but I don't want to be spiting the tape if we do get a washout into early January. But my thought is we could still rally here a little bit, but we're late in the game and we are due for some shake. And I presume come January 1st, 2nd, a lot of people that have big profits in the market that don't want to pay taxes in 2021 might decide to dump some stocks early January 2022, take their profits, and that could possibly put some pressure on the markets at that point. I'm just speculating, of course, but if I was a money manager, would I take all my profits now so I get paid by the end of the year, or would I wait to January 1st to defer taxes? So depends on, what your client's needs are and how you get compensated, I suppose. So that's a wrap-up of where I am on this Thursday evening.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, I'm hearing so many different predictions for Bitcoin. People, again, saying it's going to collapse. It'll go below $20,000. Others are predicting a high of 100,000. Then it's going to collapse to 20,000. Any feelings on Bitcoin or other cryptos?
It's funny. There was a hot crypto that just came out the last few days that soared. I wish I'd known about it or could get involved, but it was named after the COVID virus, Omicron crypto, and the thing apparently had a big play. There's a lot of speculation in the market. There are a lot of promotions, I guess is the best way to describe it. There's new coins coming out, tokens, and they're all going to have their runs. I mean, I'm tracking on my screen here, literally, looks like 100 names, and you see a lot of them up, a lot of them down. Some up 20% in one day, some down 20% in one day. So it depends on which crypto you're in, which you're tracking, what the technical position of that crypto is. Is it coming off some type of bottom? Is it being promoted? So, a lot of action ahead in this market. I don't think it's dead by any stretch. Obviously you got to trade them. We've seen huge volatility. I don't think it's dead, but you might have to consider a 5-year time frame for some of these things. I mean, look at the big run we had in Bitcoin into 2019, and then the way it collapsed, and then come roaring back, but it took a couple of years. So, you want to invest a few $100s in an account, and you want to hold, a few of these speculative coins. Some may really pay off for you. If you really want to do the work, I have a blockchain newsletter that we do publish, and we do highlight some of the names in that blockchain newsletter. There's been some real fun speculative moves here. I think I mentioned the story last week or the week before, where one of my sons bought a Shiba Inu, which is the Japanese dog that Elon Musk is the face of several coins, by the way, the Doge coin, and there's a Shiba Inu girlfriend coin, and there's a Shiba Inu itself. But that's, my son made some nice money, along with some other college kids, buying this thing, and it went up, a couple $1,000%. I mean, it was like huge gains for them. They put a few $100s in and they made a few $1,000. So I didn't get involved. I didn't even know about it till he already told me that he bought the darn thing. I didn't even know there was a Shiba Inu at that moment, though I knew about the Dogecoin, which is the one that Elon Musk, I think, just mentioned the other day. He would accept some of those at Tesla, if I'm not mistaken. So there's going to be action. You got to, I guess it's the old penny stock market that we saw in Vancouver years ago. It's a speculative market, but there are quality or so-called quality bigger names like the Bitcoin or the Ethereum and Litecoin and others that are out there. I don't think it's dead. I think that was your question. I just think they're going to trade all over the place. Not everyone is going to survive. And like anything in the stock market, I love when they kill them. I love when they knock them down big because that provides a buying opportunity. So you can sit back and say, I'm not going to buy one of these till I see a big correction, and then jump in. Don't chase them unless you're going to be in and out and trading them day to day. And that's it's the new world. I mean, it's the new world. The kids love it. Businesses are accepting it as payment, as we just noted with Elon Musk. And a lot of other companies accepting other coins. I think AMC Theaters was accepting cryptos and payment. So if the commercial enterprise is accepting these coins, how can you dismiss them as not being valuable and a sign of what the future holds? So bottom line is I'm bullish, but you got to trade them.
Mark, thank you so much for chatting with us.
My pleasure.
My guest has been Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as vrtrader.com. If you have any questions for Mark or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@housestreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HouseStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HouseStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HouseStreet.com radio is a production of House Street Media Incorporated.